it's Chords and Coffee, and today we're taking a look at a beautiful tune. It's called Pure Imagination. You know, I got a thing coming up with my buddy Greg. Greg is the host of Wake Up with Greg, which happens every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. And it's a show similar to this, but the focus is more professional horns, you know, like trumpets and trombones and saxophones and flutes and clarinets, that kind of thing. And so Greg is playing clarinet, and I'm playing guitar. I'm accompanying him on this song, Pure Imagination. And I have a real book, but I just, for the sake of being able to see this, I made a copy. The book is owned, so it's a legal copy. And I want to take you through this chart, because on this chart, whenever you're looking at a lead sheet, especially one that's in the key of E flat, which is kind of right in the middle of the neck of the guitar, you have to make some choices. You got to make some chord choices, and also you have to make some choices in terms of the right chord quality for the accompanist that you're accompanying, right? So with that, I just wanted to take you through my process on that. This song is in the key of E flat. There's a lot of chords, and if you've been hankering for an episode of Chords and Coffee that was chord rich, well, prepare to satisfy your sweet tooth as we dive into Willy Wonka's Pure Imagination. All right, so let's jump right into this thing. By the way, I'm playing my Martin OM21. This thing has been through many battles with me. I once played this on the steps of the Missouri State Capitol in the sun with my buddy Emmett and my buddy Alec. I think I was out there, Jordan, for 3 hours straight, no stop, in like July. So this thing, it still has a smell to it because of that. So anyway, that's for free. Anyway, as we jump into this, the first chord after you have this little melody note is, and then you land on this F minor. Now here's what's interesting. As the accompanying party, as the person providing the chords and sort of the bedrock foundation that this melodic instrument is going to soar on the top of, sometimes I want to hit the notes that they're playing to emphasize that. Other times I just want to stay just completely out of the way. And this is one of those things that I think it might be nice to play that C, E flat, and then when it goes to F minor 7, well, the melody note, though, is a B flat. There is no. So really what's happening is, it's really between the melody and the chord, you're really making this sus4 or this 11. So I chose to go ahead and accent that. So I'm going to play on the 3rd fret of the A to the 6th fret of the A, C, E flat, and then, so that first chord, instead of an F minor 7, I'm going to play an F7 sus4. Why? Because I want that B flat to be in there. And I'm going to give you an alternative to that too, but index finger on the 8th fret of the A string, all the way across to the high E. Then I'm going to have my ring finger on the 10th fret of the D and my pinky on the 11th fret of the B. Okay, so, or you can, that sounds weird to have the melody up high then down low. I would keep it down low. There is no, right? The other way that you could do that is you could do it like this, where you have this kind of minor 11 chord, where you've got your middle finger on the 8th fret of the A, you're going to skip the D, ring finger's on the 8th fret of the G, pinky's on the 9th fret of the B, and then index finger is on the 6th fret of the high E. That's not wrong, I just prefer this one. I just like that one, so I'm going to stick with the sus4. And then after that, I'm going to go to, they have a B flat 7 next. Here's where I start the embellishments, not to be fancy, but just to kind of give this thing a little bit of sense of movement. Instead of just B flat 7, which there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's right. I'm going to do this though, just because I like that little movement underneath there to help kind of just float Greg along as he plays the clarinet on a pillow of a cloud that I'm creating through my own atmosphere here. I'm going to go B flat 6, index finger on the 6th fret of the low E. I'm skipping the A, ring finger's going to be on the 8th fret of the D, middle finger's going to be on the 7th fret of the G, pinky on the 8th fret of the B. We've done this before, and then you're going to move down to this guy here, where I'm going to have my middle finger now on the 6th fret of the low E, and then ring finger on the 6th fret of the D, index finger on the 5th fret of the G, and then pinky on the 6th fret of the B. So, and then you could play that melody again, but I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just stay off of it. Let the melody instrument have that This next set of chords here, I'm going to do E flat major 7, and I'm going to do it like this. Index finger is going to be on the G string, the B string, and the high E of the 3rd fret, laying it straight across, human capo. And then I'm going to have my ring finger on the 5th fret of the D. Kind of a G minor so far. It was until we put this pinky on the E flat note, which is on the 6th fret of the A. And that's going to be your imagination. Now here we got some choices. I like from here going to this F minor 7, index finger on the 1st fret from low E to high E straight across. Ring finger is going to be on the A string of the 3rd fret. And then this F sharp diminished 7. Why wouldn't you do it this way? It just makes sense. Going to have a middle finger on the 2nd fret of the low E, skipping the A. Going to have my index finger laying across the D, the G, and the B of the 1st fret. And then your ring finger is going to hit that 2nd fret of the G. Now here, you might have some choices. I kind of feel like I want to go to this, maybe this G minor 11. You could go to regular G minor 7, but for now, let's just keep it G minor 11. I'll give you a G minor 7 later in the song, and you can use that chord here if you don't like the way the minor 11 sounds. Minor 11 looks like this. Index finger is going to be on the 1st fret of the B. Pinky is going to be on the 3rd fret of the G. Ring finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the D. We're going to skip the A, and then middle finger is going to be on the low E of the 3rd fret. So that whole thing is and then we're going to go back to, now here again I'm making another sort of executive decision. Oh wait, I skipped the C7 sharp 9. So yeah, I gotta have that. So C7 sharp 9. That's gonna be middle finger on the 3rd fret of the A, index finger on the 2nd fret of the D, ring finger on 3rd fret of the G, and then that pinky is gonna be on the 4th fret of the B. Sets up that F minor 7 so nice. But instead of a minor 7, what if we did a minor 9? Ooh. That's nice. So that whole thing one more time. Yeah, F minor 9. Just like an F minor 7, you're just going to add your pinky is going to be on the high E of the 3rd fret, while your index finger is on the low E to the high E, straight across on the 1st fret. Ring finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the A. And then you're going to go from here. You could go to a B flat 7 like this, and I'll give that to you in just a second. But for right now, since where we're going, I like this. So we will go like into this B flat 9 right here. This is going to be middle finger on the 6th fret of the low E. You're going to have your ring finger on the 6th fret of the D, skip the A, and then index finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the G, and then pinky is going to be on the 6th fret of the B. And then you've got this little E flat diminished 7 to the E flat major 7, which to me, it's a very, very gospel move, like old Southern gospel kind of thing, but it's a jazz move too, and it sounds kind of cool. So this is going to be, middle finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the A, ring finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D, index finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the G, pinky is going to be on the 7th fret of the B, and then just slide that whole sheboing, not the whole sheboing, about a half a sheboing, is going to slide up to this E flat major 7, where you're going to have your index finger still is on the 6th fret, not still, but now is on the 6th fret of the A, and then your ring finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the D, middle finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the G, and then pinky is going to be on the 8th fret of the B. And if you lay your index finger all the way straight across to that from A to high E, you can catch that B flat too. And then here we've got some choices. They go to G minor 7 to C7 sharp 9. Something that I feel like I like right here. You could do G minor 7 as promised. Here's that chord. This is going to be index finger on the 3rd fret from E to E. Your ring finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the A. And then C7 sharp 9, just like we did a second ago. And here's that chart. That's just the same chart as earlier. The only thing about that is that I feel like it'd be nice to have that chord set up this back to this F7 sus4. And if it's down here, that feels like a huge leap, unless we're doing this down here. I don't want to do that because that sounds too much like Venus was her name, right? Right? Was that, who did that song, Jordan? Was that Tommy James and the Shondells? Jordan's like, why do you even ask me that question? Anyway, I forget. Comment below if you know. Anyway, I don't want to do that though. So here's what we're going to do. From that G minor 7, we're going to go to this little maneuver. But Nate, that's not in the chart. I know. I'm making decisions because I'm trying to be creative and artistic. Welcome to Chords and Coffee. Good time to pour my coffee. Actually, I don't have enough coffee in there to pour. Good time to drip my coffee. Here we go. A little drippy McDripperton. All right. So after that G minor 7, let's go up here. Let's do this. It's still going to end up being a C7 sharp 9, but we're going to come down to this C7 sharp 5 flat 9, which sounds harder than it is. Index finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the low E. I'm going to skip to A. Middle finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the D, and then your your middle finger, 8th fret of the D, and then your ring finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the G. Now your pinky is going to lay on the 11th of the high E and the B. Okay, so you're hitting that B flat, which is the flat 7, and you're hitting that E flat, which is your sharp 9. And then the resolution is you're just going to take your ring finger and you're just going to lay it straight across from G, B, and E, all in the 9th fret. So that whole thing is... And if you want, you can go ahead and just have your ring finger posted up there, laying straight across there. That way you just take your pinky off. So then we're just back to the top of the tune. F7, sus4, to the B flat 6, to the B flat 9. And you can play the melody if you want. E flat major 7, F minor 7, F sharp, diminished 7, either G minor 11 or G regular G minor 7. And then C7 sharp 9. And then back to the F minor 9. And then this B flat, because we're going to a G major 7 like out of nowhere. That's just the way the song goes. And so because of that, I really want those open strings. And so what I need to do is I need to figure out a way to make this B flat kind of lead into that G major 7. And I think down here works out pretty good. That's going to be index finger on the A string from the 1st fret all the way to the high E, and then your ring finger is going to be on the, your middle finger is just holding down the index finger here, sort of double human capo. Ring finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the D. The G is held down by human capo. Pinky is going to be on the 3rd fret of the B. Now, if you want to be kind of clever, you can take that pinky off, and sometimes I might try to go like that. So you have this to get to that G, like that. Could work, could be distracting and uncool. We'll find out when we play it, right? But here's what I'm doing. I've just got my B, I'm holding that B flat dominant 7 down, and that pinky's coming up here, hitting that sus4 on the 4th fret of that B, hitting the 5th fret, so now it's like the Lydian flat 7 dominant thing, and then hitting the F natural here on the 1st fret that I'm already holding down, and then G major 7, index finger on the 1st or the 2nd fret of the high E. I've got an open B, an open G, an open D, and then my middle finger is going to hit the 3rd fret of the low E, and because of the angle of that finger, I'm sort of muting the A string. That is lovely.
Why is this so lovely? Well, I'm going to tell you. Because the B flat moves up to a B natural, D stays the same, F moves up to F sharp, and A flat slides on down to G natural, making an Oompa Loompa's favorite chord, G major 7.
So, once you get to that, you let that thing sit for a second. And if you want to be kind of fancy, maybe hit the guitar, and I don't know if you've ever done this before, but if you kind of lightly tap like on the 3rd fret of the low E, but I'm on the 15th fret up here, and so I'm thinking about this 12th fret as kind of the octave, right? And any of your open strings, if I hit them on the 12th fret, they kind of chime out like that. And you just basically kind of outline the chord. So open strings, I'm hitting on the 12th fret. This guy, I'm hitting the 14th fret because he's on the 2nd fret. Sometimes works out. People go, wow, that's really cool. Other times you're an idiot hitting your guitar, right? Hey, pure imagination. I didn't say it was safe. All right, moving on. So now we got the next chord is A flat major 7. If you want to view paradise. I would do it like this. Since we just did that, you could do this kind of more closed voicing where you've got the root and the flat or the major 7 right next to each other. That root and major 7 sounds nice, but I kind of want to keep that major 7 here on the top because that's essentially what I just did for the other G chord. So this is going to be middle finger on the 4th fret of the low E. Ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the B. Index is going to be on the 3rd fret of the high E, and then pinky is going to be on the 5th fret of the G. If you want to view G minor 7, index finger laying across the 3rd fret from low E to high E. Ring fingers on the 5th fret of the A. And then you got this C7, flat 9. Oh man, beautiful chord right there. That's going to be ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A, middle finger 2nd fret of the D, pinky 3rd fret of the G string. Whoop, I lied to you. Middle finger is actually going to come over here to the 2nd fret of the B, and then index finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the A. So one more time, ring finger, 3rd fret of the A, index finger, 2nd fret of the D, pinky, 3rd fret of the G, middle finger, 2nd fret of the B. Now that chord, 9.924781 times out of 10, it wants to go to the regular dominant 7. You just as well get that in your hands. We've talked about this before in other episodes, but here it is again. All you're going to do is just from that grip, move your index finger back here to the 1st fret of the B, and then your middle finger to the 2nd fret of the D. And then we go to, where we at? F minor 7, simply look around. Just the same way we did a second ago. F minor 7 to B flat 7, right down here, and then to this E flat major 7, same as we did before. Here comes a new chord, A minor 7 flat 5, right? Beautiful chord. Did a whole episode on the minor 7 flat 5s. Middle finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the low E, skipping the A. Ring finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the D. Pinky is going to be on the 5th fret of the G. Index finger, 4th fret of the B. Da 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 da. Now this next chord, D7, sharp 5. A sharp 5 is an augmented chord. And when I saw this, I was like, well, the most important thing in that chord is that augmented note, right? Which is a sharp 5. What's a 5 in the key of D? Well, a 5 is going to be an A, so it's going to be an A sharp or a B flat. And that's something there, when you're looking and making decisions on what notes are important, what notes aren't, you don't want to get rid of the color tones, in this case, the sharp 5. So that's important. Sure would like to get that dominant 7 in there. But I don't have a good way to do that, but I'm going to show you a pretty decent way, okay? Here's just the regular dominant 7 chord, because you could totally, with the amount of time that you have to perform this maneuver, since it's not a whole lot of executable time, you could do something that is a little easier, which would be after this A minor 7 flat 5, just a good old D augmented, which would be ring finger on the 5th fret of the A, and middle finger on the 4th fret of the D. Index finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the G and the B, right? And then that would go to your G minor. That's cool. But if you want the really cool one, you're going to do this finger stretcher right here. Let's listen to that. And so where are we at here? Man, this guy right here. So this is going to be pinky on the 5th fret of the A. Ring is going to be on the 4th fret of the D. Middle is going to be on the 3rd fret of the G, and then index is going to hit that flat 7 on the 1st fret of the B. It's a cool, I mean, Jordan, how much you think that chord's worth? That's a $78 chord right there. Jordan says a $100 chord for free on Chords and Coffee. Boom. So then after that, well, now we're here and we got to go to this G minor. No, if I was here, I would just go to that G minor 11 after that. Right? Let's see if I can get my timing right. If you wanna view paradise, simply look around and woo! Kind of didn't make it, but there it is anyway. What a stout grip. $100 chord. D7 augmented, sharp 5. D7 sharp 5, right? And then we're going to go to that G minor 11, which is going to be middle finger on the 5th fret, skipping the A, ring finger on the 3rd, or middle finger on the 3rd fret, skipping the A, ring finger 3rd fret of the D, pinky 3rd fret of the G, index finger 1st fret of the B. And then after that, give my fingers a break. Just play good old C9, James Brown. Right? C9, that's going to be middle finger, 3rd fret of the A, index finger 2nd fret of the D, laying the ring finger on the G, the B, and the high E. And then after that, you've got your F dominant 7, right? And this only happens for a second. And this is one of those things where we sort of do like a kind of deceptive cadence here to this secondary dominant chord. Goodness gracious. All that music theory flying at you. Index finger on the 1st fret of low E to high E. And you're going to have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A. The index finger is going to catch that D on the 1st fret, and then your middle finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the G. Everything else is held down by human capo. And then F minor 7, index finger across the 1st fret. And then your ring finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the A. Pinky's going to be on the 4th fret of the B. Nothing to it. And then this is going to be this B flat 7 right here. A couple different ways to think about that. Let me give it to you this way here. Because you could go nothing to it. That just didn't quite feel right. Almost want to have a little darker, more subdued B flat 7 here. And that's going to be ring finger on the 6th fret of the high, or the low E. Index finger is going to be on the A string of the 5th fret. I said ring finger. Middle finger is on the low E of the 6th fret. Index finger, 5th fret of the D. Ring finger on the 6th fret of the D. And then pinky on the 7th fret of the G. And then at this point, you could go back to this little, that little maneuver there. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But at this point, the song starts over. And we basically repeat everything we did up until that point. We go straight to the G major 7. And then after that G major 7, we've got a B flat minor 7, okay? And that B flat minor 7 to the B flat 7. I would also encourage you, I might do a B flat minor 11, which would be middle finger on the 6th fret of the low E, skip the A, ring finger, 6th fret of the D, pinky, 6th fret of the G, index finger, 4th fret of the B, and then to that B flat 7 I just showed you. And then this chart calls for then an E flat 6 right there, which would be lovely. But I'm going to show you this extra special little ending. And we'll see if Greg likes it, because if he doesn't like it, then we won't do it. But at the very end of the tune, if you look at the chart, he's just holding an E flat. So he's holding this note right here. What would happen if instead of going like that, we went to, right? So what do you got here? G flat 6, that's going to be 2nd fret. Low E, holding that down with the index finger. Ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the D. Middle finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the G. Pinky is going to be on the 4th fret of the B. And then that F minor 7, we did it a second ago, but here it is one more time. Index finger straight across from low E to high E. Ring finger, that's 1st fret. Ring finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the A. Pinky is going to be on the 4th fret of the B. So down, down, and then this A flat minor 6 with a 9 on it. That's going to be middle finger on the 4th fret of the low E, skipping the A. And my index finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the D, and then ring finger is going to lay on the G and the B strings and the high E, but that pinky is going to catch the, and that's all on the 4th fret with the ring finger. That pinky is going to catch the 6th fret on the high E. And then after that guy, we're going to go to this B flat. Yeah, it's like a B flat 11 because I've got the sus4 and the flat 7 there. Missing a couple notes, but that's okay. And then I've got my middle finger here on the 6th fret of the low E, skipping the A, ring finger's on the 6th fret of the D, pinky's on the G string, 7th fret, and then index is on the 4th fret of the B. And then finally, E flat 6. And that E flat 6 is going to be middle finger on the E flat note, which is the 6th fret of the A. Index finger is going to lay on the 5th fret of the D and the G. And then pinky's going to lay on the 8th fret of the B and the high E. And as promised, that little thing I'm doing on that C note, I'm just playing a C octave. That's just going to be on the index finger of the 5th fret. And then pinky is going to be on the 8th fret of the high E. I'm not playing anything else. And with this finger, I've got my pick tucked in right here, right? Because I'm just playing, and all of a sudden I tuck this in right here with my middle finger against that, I don't know what you call that. That's like your extra knuckle. All right, you know, that little pad right there. And then this finger is extended, and I'm holding my index finger over 12 frets above. So this is going to be on the 17th fret. And I'm holding, and so I'm kind of hitting that, I'm kind of lightly hovering over that 17th fret while I'm plucking with my thumb like this. And then I'm doing the same thing, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 19 on the high E, and then coming back 7th fret here of the E, but I'm plucking it here, so the whole thing. And that's kind of trying to simulate the beginning of that kind of creepy Willy Wonka. Welcome to my sugary lair. I hope you get addicted to my sugars. Diabetes. Anyway, but there's that tune. I know that's a lot, but it's a beautiful tune. And more importantly, I wanted to show you, you know, you can change some of the chord qualities as you see fit, as you are arranging songs for yourself. Now, I would encourage you, you know, sometimes there's good reason to make something easier or simpler, but don't let that be the reason why you're having to change charts all the time. Let it be because you're trying to make more of an artistic statement and where you're coloring things up as opposed to erasing colors that are beautiful and should be there. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you have more questions about arranging songs or taking some artistic liberties and chances to make things your own, please fill up the comment section. Thank you for the privilege of your time. Thank you for watching Chords and Coffee. We do this every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, and we got a little saying around here. We're living life the best we can with a guitar in our hand. We'll see y'all next week for another Chords and Coffee.
Hold your breath. Make a wish. Count to 3.